Hi, it's Ed. With just about 3 weeks before the midterm elections, let's take a look at the races in the House of Representatives that will decide if Nancy Pelosi will reprise her 2007 role as Speaker of the House, or if a Republican free-for-all will ensue to replace retiring Speaker, Internet meme, aw shucks regular guy, and bow-hunting cheesehead Paul Ryan. The House of Representatives is comprised of 435 folks like you and me who are elected to 2-year terms. And if my maths is right, that means a party needs 218 votes to gain a majority and elect the next speaker. Basically, Democrats need to pick up 24 seats, aside from any they may lose, to take the majority. The conventional wisdom in D.C. is that this ship sailed a long time ago. There's barely any reason to count the votes. Democrats will take the House majority. But, as ESPN's ageless wonder Lee Corso is overly fond of saying, "Not so fast, my friend." Donald Trump hung conventional wisdom from the rafters 40 months ago and has been beating it like a piñata ever since. Drawing the boundaries of congressional districts is an inherently political process done by the states. In 42 of the 50 states, the legislature votes to approve that state's congressional map. The legislatures seek to minimize the number of competitive districts they draw. So, of the 435 congressional races, only about 50 will be competitive, but boy are they competitive this year. Now, as much as I would love to sit here and run through all of the closely contested seats with you, dear member, I realize you have a day job, and would not serve our organizational mission well for me to keep you too long pondering the intricacies of electoral politics. Though rest assured, dear member, you would be entertained. Instead, let's look at the trends for past midterms and what we know about 2018. In 92% of midterm elections since the Civil War, the president's party loses House seats. And in modern times, there's a positive relationship between a president's approval rating and his party's midterm performance. For instance, Clinton bucked the losing trend in 1998. He had a whopping 66% approval rating, and Dems won 5 seats in the House. Conversely, in 1946, Missouri's own Harry S. Truman had a 33% approval rate, and the Democrats lost 55 House seats. President Trump's approval rating is hovering around 40%. History says Republicans should lose around 30 seats. That's just enough to swing the House, but not by much. You can also look at the so-called generic ballot question pollsters ask. They ask, who would you support in a congressional election, the Democrat or the Republican, without naming names? Again, the degree to which a party has an advantage in that question on Election Day is a pretty good predictor of how many more seats that party will win over the other guys. The stats gurus say the magic number for Democrats to take the majority this year is a 6-point or greater advantage in the generic ballot question. As of this recording, Democrats enjoy a 7-point advantage. That number has been as high as 13 and as low as 3. But Dems have always enjoyed an advantage this year. So again, the indicator looks good for Dems, but not necessarily blue wave good. Interestingly, ABC News pointed out that if you look at generic ballot performance in just the competitive districts, that ballot advantage for Democrats disappears and Republicans enjoy a 1-point advantage. So take that for what it's worth. Another factor is voter intensity. Who will crawl across broken glass to vote this year? In the age of resistance to Trump, Democrats have been relying on high voter intensity to deliver toss-up races to their side. The Cook Political Report notes that an NBC Wall Street Journal poll found that for most of the electoral season, Democrat intensity advantage has been as high as 12 points over somewhat dispirited Republicans. If he'd just stop tweeting. The Kavanaugh confirmation circus seems to have changed all that. The September 16-19 Wall Street Journal NBC poll found that Republican intensity was only 4 points lower than Democrat intensity. The rage is palpable. So, we've got historical trends pointing to a big day for Democrats in the House, but the numbers don't seem to be in blue wave territory. Let's look at this year's numbers in a little more detail, and you'll see how heavy a lift it is for Republicans to hold the House. Political prognosticators break down the House this way. Look at all the seats as safely in one party's column, then the seats that are leaning towards one party, and then the toss-up seats. Real Clear Politics says that Democrats are likely to win 206 seats. 3 of which are Republican seats they'll flip. They see Republicans likely to win 199 seats, 1 of which is likely to be a Democratic flip. Looking at the seats that lean Democrat, there are 19. 12 of those seats leaning Democrat are currently Republican held. Before we even get to the toss-up seats, Real Clear Politics says Democrats are likely to have enough seats to win control of the House. Then there's the toss-up states. RCP counts 30 toss-up seats. 29 of them are currently Republican seats. Yep, that's 1 toss-up seat currently held by a Democrat. On the leaning GOP side, it doesn't get much better for Republicans. 2 of the 25 leaning GOP seats are held by Democrats. To borrow a hockey analogy, Democrats are playing the game almost entirely in the Republican zone. Democrats look poised to benefit from a controversial ruling in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is a partisan body. There is a Democratic majority on the court, and that Democratic majority threw out the partisan Republican-drawn legislative map. Remember we touched on that map-making process earlier. Well, the court replaced that Republican map with a map of its own, which plainly favored Democrats. Democrats now seem poised to flip as many as 5 of the seats they need nationwide in Pennsylvania alone. There's another 6 possible in California. Also, keep an eye on Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, and the tri-state area, eastern Pennsylvania, North Jersey, and the Hudson Valley region of New York State. These seem to be the big concentrations of competitive seats. Let's face it, the big metro areas are as blue as they're going to get. And the South and rural America are solidly in Republican hands. The suburbs and the exurbs and all the other urbs are where these battles are happening, where populations are changing fast and gerrymandering just can't keep up. I guess it represents who we are as a people. We're not crazy about each other, and our population patterns reflect it. As much as we may dislike our government, it usually does a pretty good job of showing us who we are. So we get the government we deserve. If you think we deserve better, do something about it. Get out and vote. Encourage your coworkers to vote. NAED can help. If you're interested in get out the vote messaging, let's talk. That's it for this week. Check back with us next week for more on the midterm elections. Thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting NAED.